What if the true bridge between earth and the sky wasn't outside, but within the deepest part of you? And what if the path of spiritual ascension that mystics from all cultures have sought was already mapped within your own body? Since time immemorial, the image of a sacred ladder connecting the earthly with the divine has been present in religions, mythologies, and esoteric systems alike. Jacob dreamed of angels ascending and descending a celestial ladder. The alchemists represented ascension through spiral symbols, and in Eastern practices, the coiled serpent, Kundalini, sleeps at the base of the spine, awaiting the soul's call. But what if I told you that this ladder is not a symbol, but a real structure? Your spine is that ladder, a secret pathway through which energy can rise, level by level, unlocking portals of consciousness, connecting inner worlds, and awakening a wisdom that is not learned, but remembered. Each vertebra is like a rung, each chakra a temple along the way. And when that energy ascends, it not only changes your perception, it transforms your reality. What once seemed like matter becomes vibration. What once seemed like mind reveals itself as spirit. What you used to call begins to dissolve into something much vaster. This video is not just a theoretical explanation, it is an invitation to explore the sacred map that lives in your spinal cord, to recognize that your body is a microcosm reflecting the tree of life, the soul's pathways, and the fiery serpents that guard ancient knowledge. We will explore the connection between the spine and the energy channels described in Hindu tradition. The Kabbalistic symbolism of the spherot ascending the tree of life, and the archetypal figure of the serpent as an initiatory guide. We will not speak of dogma, but of embodied wisdom, not of beliefs, but of transformative experiences. Because when you ascend through your inner temple, you do not rise alone. The entire universe reorganizes itself to reflect your new frequency. So I invite you to stay, to breathe with intention, to imagine, or rather to remember, that within you there is a ladder that leads to the stars, and that with every step you climb, you come a little closer to the forgotten truth of your divinity. Prepare yourself, seeker. Today, we begin the ascent. The image of a ladder or central axis connecting the earthly with the divine appears almost universally in esoteric traditions around the world. From the columns of Solomon's temple to the world axis in Siberian shamanism, there exists a shared language that speaks of an ascending journey through which the soul returns to its origin. In this context, the spinal column is not merely a physiological support, but a mystical structure filled with symbolism. In the Hindu tradition, for example, this central axis is described as the Sushumna Nadi, the energy channel that runs along the spinal cord and connects the 7 major chakras. On each side of this central channel ascend 2 energy currents, Ida and Pingala, represented as intertwined serpents, one lunar, passive and receptive, the other solar, active and expansive. When these energies are in balance, Kundalini, the serpent of fire coiled at the base of the sacrum, begins its ascent. This is not a symbolic ascent, but a real experience of energetic and spiritual transformation. On the other side of the world, in mystical Kabbalah, we find the tree of life, 10 spheres or spherot connected by 22 paths. This tree is not only a metaphysical diagram of the universe, but also a map of the human soul. The spherot extend from Makath, the physical realm, to Keter, the divine crown, in a journey that reflects the progressive awakening of consciousness. Interestingly, in many Kabbalistic representations, this tree is superimposed over the human body, with the spine as its central axis. Going even further back in time, in the Egyptian mysteries, the Djed pillar symbolized the spine of Osiris, the god of regeneration. The ritual of raising the Djed represented the restoration of cosmic order and spiritual rebirth. That same axis, that same column, was considered a channel through which the soul could ascend. Either after death or during life, if one was trained in the secrets of internal energy. Even in the biblical texts, we find this idea. Jacob's dream of a ladder connecting heaven and earth, with angels ascending and descending, is nothing other than the archetypal image of the spiritual channel. In that moment, Jacob awakens and exclaims, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." This is none other than the house of God and the gate of heaven. The body understood as a temple, and the spine as a gateway. The serpent, far from being merely a tempting or infernal symbol, as later distorted traditions portrayed it, has, since ancient times, been a spiritual teacher. The serpent glides effortlessly across the earth, but it also rises in spirals toward the sky. It represents energy, regeneration, forbidden knowledge, and above all, the possibility of transformation. All of these symbols, the tree, the ladder, the pillar, the serpent, are not scattered metaphors, but representations of the same truth passed down through different cultures. The human being holds within a vertical path, a way of ascension, a ladder to heaven, and that ladder is the spinal column. Now that we understand how ancient cultures encoded spiritual ascent through the body's axis into symbols, it's time to go deeper. How does this sacred architecture we call the spine actually function? And how can it become a real and conscious instrument of energetic ascension? To begin, we are not speaking figuratively. The spinal column, in addition to supporting the physical body's structure, is the channel through which vital energy flows when practiced consciously. Just as a building has stairs and levels, the human body contains vertically aligned energy centers, known as chakras in the Hindu system or spherot in Kabbalistic tradition. Each chakra corresponds to a specific area along the spine. Muladhara, root chakra, at the base, linked to instinct, survival, and the earth. Svadhisthana, sacral chakra, associated with desire, creativity, and water. Manipura, solar plexus, personal power, the element of fire. Anahata, heart chakra. Love, transmutation, the element of air. Vishuddha, throat chakra, communication and truth. Ajna, third eye, inner vision. Sahasrara, crown chakra, divine connection. Each of these centers is not just a static point, but a vibrational vortex. When they are aligned, energy flows freely. But when there are blockages, due to trauma, limiting beliefs, or destructive habits, the energy becomes stagnant and cannot ascend. It's like trying to climb a ladder with broken rungs. And here lies the hidden function of the spine: it is the bridge between matter and spirit. Literally, through practices like conscious breathing, yoga, or qigong, ancient sages learned to use this axis as a channel for ascension. By focusing attention and intention on this structure, the vital energy, called Kundalini, Shekinah, Chi, or Ruach, depending on the tradition, begins to activate at the base of the sacrum. This energy, archetypically represented as a coiled serpent, doesn't ascend randomly. It rises in a spiral, traveling the vertical axis like a double helix of fire. In esoteric iconography, the image of two serpents climbing a central staff is omnipresent, from Hermes caduceus to the staff of Asclepius, symbol of healing. Modern medicine still retains this image, though it no longer fully remembers its meaning, healing through the activation of the spiritual axis. But this activation is neither automatic nor guaranteed. The ascent up the spine requires preparation, balance, and reverence. This is not energy to play with, but a sacred force that awakens what sleeps, and if mishandled or approached without guidance, it can lead to imbalance. For this reason, ancient traditions always emphasized emotional mastery, mental purification, and desire control as prerequisites for inner ascension. Each center passed on the journey upward represents an initiation. At the root chakra, one confronts the fear of loss. At the sacral chakra, desire and attachment. In the solar plexus, the illusion of control. In the heart, the wound of love. In the throat, authenticity. At the third eye, mental confusion. And at the crown, spiritual ego. Each level is a purification, a descent into the inner underworld, and a rise toward the light. True spiritual awakening, then, is not about flying off to heaven, but about ascending within the body, transforming each level into spiritual gold. The body is not an obstacle, it is the temple, the map, the teacher. And your spine is the ladder. At this point, you understand that the spinal column is not just a physical axis, but a spiritual structure of ascension. However, to activate this system, it is not enough to simply know about chakras or imagine the movement of energy. It's necessary to understand that the spine is a living, dynamic staircase, and that each section represents a threshold of consciousness that must be crossed with presence, intention, and purity. Let us imagine the spine as a sanctuary divided into three great levels: the lower realm, the mediator, and the upper realm. Each one not only represents an anatomical zone but also a level of spiritual experience. First, the lower realm, the roots of the temple. From the base of the spine to the solar plexus are the centers linked to the material world, survival, and basic identity. This level, from the root chakra to the solar plexus chakra, is where most people unconsciously dwell. Here reside fear, sexual desire, the instinct for preservation, the need for power and recognition. One cannot rise higher if this foundation is unbalanced. That's why the first work of ascension is to heal the roots. In many shamanic cultures, the hero's journey begins by descending into the underworld, not to remain there, but to retrieve the fragments of the soul broken by fear and pain. The transit through this realm must be done with humility. It's not about rejecting matter, but about reconciling with it. Purified matter becomes a platform for the sacred. Second, the mediator level, the heart as a bridge. The next threshold in the spine is marked by the heart chakra. Here we are no longer in the earthly, but not yet in the celestial. We are in the center of the temple, the inner altar where all that has been conquered in the lower level is offered. The heart, linked to the thoracic center of the spine, is an immensely powerful vortex. Its vibration has the ability to transform emotional memories and transmute pain into light. Here, the practitioner learns the hardest lesson: to stop controlling and start trusting. When one breathes from the heart, not only is the emotional body cleansed, but the ascending channel is activated, allowing the energy, now freed from its dense weight, to rise more fluidly. Many people experience here the awakening of an inexplicable love, a deep compassion, even toward those who have hurt them. This is the unmistakable sign that the ladder has been freed from its first great knot. Third, the upper realm, dome of light and silence. Finally, the energy reaches the upper section of the spine, which includes the throat, third eye, and crown chakras. At this stage, it's no longer about healing emotional wounds, but about opening to spiritual vision. The throat chakra, related to the cervical region, represents expressed truth. Here, the soul must speak. It can no longer hide behind masks or pretenses. Passage through this area requires coherence between what is felt and what is said. A clear voice is the echo of an awakened heart. Higher up, at the third eye, lies the inner vision, the place from which the soul perceives subtle realities. This zone must be crossed with discernment, because spiritual illusion can also appear here, false awakenings, visions of the ego disguised as light. At this point, purity of intention is the only compass. Finally, the crown, where the spine touches the sky, is the point of total surrender. The self dissolves, there is no longer an ascent, because there is no longer a self that ascends, only fusion remains. Thus, the spine is not a fixed structure, it is a river of transformation, an axis vibrating to the rhythm of your consciousness, a ladder you climb with every act of authenticity, every conscious breath, every deep silence. And the most revealing part, this ladder does not rise to a place, it rises to a state of being. To ascend is not to go to another world, it is to remember who you are in this one. To know the sacred dimension of the spine is an awakening in itself. But the true power of this wisdom is revealed when it is integrated into daily life. The temple is not only to be contemplated in deep meditation. It is alive and active in every breath, every step, every gesture. Here we're not talking about complicated rituals or esoteric practices reserved for monks or yogis. We're talking about relearning to inhabit your body as a living temple, about turning each daily action into another step toward your inner heaven. Below are some fundamental principles to cultivate this sacred awareness in everyday life. 1. Walk as if climbing an invisible ladder. Each step can be an invocation. As you walk, visualize your spine as a column of light connecting you to earth and sky. Imagine each vertebra aligning like the rungs of a crystal staircase through which your energy flows. This simple practice, done mindfully, turns an ordinary walk into a meditative and regenerative act. 2. Breathe with intention from the base. Conscious breathing is the most powerful tool to activate your inner axis. Each morning, before starting your day, sit in silence and breathe deeply, visualizing how the air rises from the base of the spine. Bring your attention to the sacrum, the heart, and then the third eye, moving through the sacred channel. This sequence takes no more than 5 minutes, but its effect on your energetic state is profound. 3. Correct your posture, the language of the spine. The way you sit, walk, or hold yourself reflects the state of your internal energy. A slouched spine not only signals physical fatigue but also a disconnection from the spiritual axis. Cultivate dignity in your posture, not for appearance's sake, but because an aligned spine is a clear channel for vital energy. If you work many hours sitting, take breaks to stretch and reconnect. 4. Use moments of conflict to practice ascension. When you face dense emotions, anger, frustration, fear, pause and sense where the energy is trapped. Is it in your stomach? Your throat? Your chest? Then use your breath to move that energy upward. Imagine it rising through your spine like smoke through a glass tube. Don't repress or explode, transmute. 5. Sleep as one who rests in a temple. Before bed, mentally trace your spine from base to crown. Thank your body for sustaining you. Visualize each segment gently lighting up. This simple act not only prepares you for deep rest, but anchors in your subconscious the understanding that your body is a temple, and your spine, its central altar. To remember the sacred nature of the spine is a revolutionary act. It is to reclaim the spirituality of the body. It is to return life to its sacred quality, and above all, to reconcile the divine with the human, in the exact space where both coexist. The spiritual awakening journey is not a race towards something far away, but a deep dive inward. There are no heavens to reach outside that haven't first been explored in the depths and heights within you. And in this silent, powerful journey, the spine is not just another anatomical organ, it is the axis of your sacred temple, the spiral uniting your root to your divinity, the mast upon which your soul sails. In all truly deep mystical traditions, this axis has been revered as the channel of ascension, of illumination, of union between the earthly and the eternal. The sages did not speak of it frivolously, they protected it. They taught it only to those ready to carry the truth it holds. And today, you have arrived at this point on the path. You have heard the call. You have felt the echo of the sleeping serpent at your base, the urgency of the heart to burn without consuming, and the silent voice of your inner crown whispering, "Ascend." But to ascend is not to flee. It is to inhabit the body as a temple, not a prison. It is to recognize that every vertebra holds more than flesh, it holds your story. Your lessons, your trials, and your victories. Each section of your spine traveled is an act of consciousness manifested in daily life. When you straighten your back, you are not only correcting your physical posture, you are elevating your energetic field, sending a signal to the universe that you are present, awake, and available to the sacred. You are aligning your chakras, your emotions, your purpose, and your will. When you breathe consciously through your central axis, you are recreating an ancient initiation ritual. You are allowing the energy to rise like invisible incense to the sky of your own awareness. You are activating the symbols of the tree of life, the serpents of the caduceus, the fires of the Egyptian Djed. You are remembering what you knew before you forgot. And perhaps the greatest revelation is this. You don't need to escape this world to reach another. You don't have to flee to the desert or retreat into a cave. Your temple is already built. Your ladder is already within you. You only need to climb it with reverence, step by step, breath by breath, presence after presence.